Welcome back, strange crew. You are tuned into another trip through life's deep cuts. We hope you enjoy the ride.
Keep it strange.
2, 1, we're recording. We're live.
Yay!
Welcome to the Strange Grooves podcast.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
Where do we find you?
Pardon?
Where do we find you today?
Today I'm just at home at my house doing some music work. Yeah, in Burlington.
Oh, that's exciting. That's cool. And for those who maybe don't know about what happened last week, let's just dive into it because I want everyone to know about this release. I want people to be streaming it all week. I want people to swing it to the masses. So let's dig in. Tell us a little bit about Vital Signs. Tell us about everything.
Yeah, this past Friday, I just released my debut EP called Vital Signs with 7 songs on it. It's been a long time coming. I feel like I've always just put out a single at a time, and I was just at a place where I wanted to just release like a bigger body of work. And so it's been so exciting to just that whole process of trying to narrow down, and it's finally here. It's out, and I'm just so happy that it's in the world.
It's a lot of work putting those things together, isn't it? You know, like trying to get all the due diligence in order and getting it ready for platforms. And it's a lot, right? I don't think sometimes people realize the amount of hard work that it takes as a singer-songwriter, as well as trying to get your music distributed and talking to people and making sure that all that work you put into it, that, you know, people get to see it. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that's been like as someone in the music industry?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm always amazed. Well, not amazed, but it's always so interesting to me, like how long it takes from like when a song is written to when it's recorded and then released. Because I feel like whenever we hear albums, it is always like, oh, these songs are all brand new, but they could have been in the works for years beforehand. And so I always love that. It was really cool to bring some songs that were like, you know, I've had for 5 years, and then also slip in some like really last minute. Like there's a song on the EP called The Observer, and it was never intended to be a part. Like I had finished the EP already. And then once writing this song, I was like, you know what? I feel like it would just be a great way to close everything up. So that was more of like a last minute newer song. So I always find that like a really fun process. It's kind of like being open to what could happen during the whole writing and releasing process.
Well, it's funny because like with writing music, it's almost like we're so used to reality shows and social media that if we know someone's doing something, we're waiting for that episode the following week, or what we've seen them do on social, we're waiting to see it on that episode. And one of the things that when we're working with bands and musicians from like a marketing standpoint or from like media relations is when we find that people in the music industry are the hardest working people out there. They've always rolled their sleeves up to do everything, whether it be their merch, how they're touring, where they're touring. They really do a lot of the hard work. And a big part of that is, for example, we were working with someone last year. They were recording a song and they're saying, by the time I get this out in 9 or 10 months, I may not want to perform that song.
Right. Yeah.
To perform that. And then it's funny because then that also goes in, well, how and where is it being distributed? Is it through online platforms? Is it a vinyl? Is it CD? Like, what is it? And that also plays into things as an artist too. Can you talk a little bit about what your experience has been about putting out this EP for the first time?
Yeah, putting it out for the first time, I would say, well, first of all, it was like a lot of fun. I was really thankful to work with a really great producer, Tal Weisman, and bring on some new co-writers as well with Chad Howat and Emily Reed.
I saw that. That's so cool.
They're great people. I think it's so much fun when you get to write with people that are like obviously talented, but also just cool humans as well. Yeah. And we just found a really good like writing, collaborating groove. And yeah, I'm thankful that they could have been a part of it, and excited just to, just have everything out And yeah, I don't know if that was your question, but
No, it totally was. And it's funny because you bring up a valid point. Like when you're working with the people who are really good in their industry as well, it tends to I don't know if the word is re-inspire or motivate or organize your thoughts, but for me, when I work around people who are a little bit better at what I do than what I do, it's
yeah.
motivating, and it makes me make sure that I'm not wasting my own time or their time. And I know working with a lot of musicians, you don't want to throw any money that you might have or currently make or grants that you have at the wall. You want to make sure every dollar is used to try to get some, recognition. And, for me, I think a big part is there's so much work. And like you said, putting out the album and putting it together. And, one of the questions that I had, because I love the water, is where's your album cover located? Where's that at? What body of water is that?
That is literally in Burlington, like that, the Lake Ontario.
Yeah.
That was more of like a last minute shot. I went with my friend and I was like, you know what? The album cover like I had originally, I just wasn't feeling it. I was like, oh, I just feel like I want something different. I want water, like a little bit of like a sunrise moment. And so we literally went and like got up at 5 a.m. I just went with my friend who's a really creative like photographer, Andrea Monzon, and she does a whole bunch of different other creative ventures, chef as well. And yeah, we just got up early and she just started taking photos, and it was really fun because I think 'cause she's such a good friend of mine, it was more chill and relaxed, and I just ended up loving all the shots. So yeah, I was thankful to have ended up with that one.
And it's funny how last minute, you can have everything planned, storyboard your album cover, have an idea of what it's going to be. And then last minute, one of the most important, pieces, the vision can be something that can be pulled at the last minute. And it doesn't mean that it wasn't really thought about. Yeah. Right. And
that's so true. Yeah.
I think, like with music and, one of the things that we ask on the show, like, especially, if you're working hard and you're trying to promote yourself, like, what would you tell 13-year-old Abby today? And I'm talking about you as yourself, 10, 15 years ago versus other people who might be in the position of wanting to do this. What would you tell that?
I probably would just tell myself to keep going, to lean into my intuition and trust my creativity, and not to worry so much, not to overthink so much, because I definitely tend to do that still now as well. Invite people in to help along the way too. Don't be afraid of reaching out.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice. We try to add a lot of that because we have a lot of different listeners, right? And so many people can stagnate their own growth or be their own bottleneck just by thinking that they maybe they feel like a fraud in their industry, or maybe they just don't have that right person who can help them get to that next point or help them launch an EP. And that's one of the things that we try to do here at Strange Grooves is, it's great to have great interviews and connect people. But if there are other people who could, benefit from being able to listen to your music and resonate with it and maybe put something out themselves, then that to me is really powerful. So I always like to ask that question because I think about it for myself a lot. What would I tell 14-year-old Kate? And it would likely be the same, lean into who you are. Don't try to be like everyone else. Different brings a reason why people will go to look at it versus trying to say the same cookie cutter. It doesn't work. And when I was looking through your track listings and I was looking at the album art, I was like, okay, you're extremely thoughtful about how these things go together, the way that your lyrics have gone together. Like I noticed The Observer was the last song in at least it was in the link that I was sent. And I liked how you put those together. And
oh yay.
I was listening to it and I was like, okay, like I can see so much happening and it makes you feel so many different things. And where you're at now after launching this, what's on the radar for you now? Are you going to try to tour a little bit with this? Are you going to try what's on the radar for you?
I think right now my brain is like 100% in this EP party that I'm doing on Saturday. So I feel like that's like taking up right now the majority of my brain, but I'm so excited for that as well. And then afterwards, I'm planning on just like doing some more shows. I'm gonna like hunker down and do a lot more writing. I'd like to work on more like writing projects for TV and film as well. So I'll probably just dive back into creating again after.
Well, I think
Thank you so much for saying that though, Kate. That actually means so much to hear that you like the flow and the feels.
yeah, I'm a details person. Sharice is more the research person, but I like to look at how things are like constructed, and I always know there's more meat to the bone as to why. And I I just found the when I was listening to them, I was like, okay, like it's almost like back in the 70s when people were actually really thoughtful with how they put together their albums and their album art and how things were supposed to feel instead of just dropping out something that was really pretty and putting it out into the ether. And I feel like you're extremely thoughtful about all of those things. So that's why I was curious about like where was the album cover taken and how did that come to be? And I'm really glad that I asked because sometimes it can be, daunting. Like you said, people think that you've had this plethora of a storyboard put together and that it's a faux pas to make a last minute decision. But if it aligns with you and it's your work and your name on it, it's so important to feel aligned with those things.
Yeah, that's so good.
Right. And I think, with what you're doing, like focusing on that EP party and like the fan experience and just allowing people to get to know like more of your music and resonate with those things and like, expressing themselves in bodies of water and stuff too and going through these different life changes is so important, right? Like I really do think that that's a big deal. And, like I'd like to dig in a little bit more about this EP party. Can you talk to me a little bit about what the EP party means for you and, any affiliations you'd like to give a shout out to with that?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like when I initially kind of went about the idea of releasing an EP, I really loved the idea of having like an EP party at the end to kind of tie everything all together, to be able to play the music live. And I have a really great band coming and I love playing shows with them, The Agenda, and have some cool openers, CJ Cooper and Floating Mansions, and they're both really talented and great people as well. And I also love the idea of raising money as well, when you come together and can just I feel like it's a really powerful thing to be able to like celebrate with music, but also like for a good cause. And my mom went through breast cancer 2 years ago, and that really just kind of changed. I always feel like cancer affects so many people, and whether it's a friend of a friend or like directly, it's just always such a shift. Like you're like, wow, like I didn't know that this could happen so close to home. And she's been so resilient and strong through the whole thing. And I really wanted to, I couldn't do a lot of this without her support. So I really wanted to kind of raise money for breast cancer and for just have everyone come together and celebrate. And it's going to be a great night. I hope everybody can come.
Is your mom going to come or is she?
Oh yeah, she is recovered. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
She must be so proud of you.
Oh, I hope so. She's excited.
Did you find that watching someone that you admire and love and respect so much going through that, do you find that it impacted the album?
It definitely, I feel like the name of the album, like Vital Signs, it definitely impacted like that. I really like the metaphorical, like how your vitals are like how they keep you alive. And I like the feeling involved in that too, like in the metaphorical sense, but also when someone's like actually like fighting, like to beat a disease or to beat something that's like vital as well. So there's a lot of things that happened like last year, the past 2 years, that I felt like that name really symbolized what I was going through in life, but also what so many other people are. And I like a huge emotion feeling junkie. So anything that like invokes like a big, like you're like it's a vital to live something. I don't know. I love that. So
well, now that I kind of know more about that, it makes me think about listening to them differently because I just think that people, we all are going through things, sometimes the roughest parts of our lives, sometimes the most successful times of our lives, all within the same week. And it can be really hard to keep a balanced mentality when you're trying to also, whether make an album or be there for friends and family, whether it be studying, obtaining a job, any of those
Yeah.
things.
Mhm.
And, when you're putting out an EP, it's a big deal, right? So I really, really appreciate that you were able to talk to us a little bit about it today. And, I really hope that, the EP party goes like so, so, so good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to ask you about too, I wanted to hop in here,
Yeah.
is about the you recently did you had an opportunity with President's Choice and Loblaws. We recorded a hit song, "You Spin Me Round," for one of their pizza commercials. And I was kind of curious about this opportunity because a lot of people, it's this interesting debate around artists when they get like, sponsorships or opportunities like this. Like, there's the camp like, okay, like my song's going to get exposed to, so many people. And then, there's the whole camp like, hey, you're selling out. I wanted to know, first of all, I wanted to get your thoughts on that experience for you and sort of what opportunities has it led and what sort of impact, good or bad, has it had on your career, especially leading up to the album release?
Yeah, definitely. That was a really fun process. I was working with a agency called Eggplant Music and Sound in Toronto, and so I'd been working with them for a few years, and so sometimes I'll go in and do some, like, demo sessions, and most of the time, I just assume that it's not gonna land. Like, I'll go in and sing the song, and then I don't really hold on to, like, some things, because most of the time you never know what people are going to go with. So this was just another like demo session with them. And then I got the news, I think last August, that it did land in the commercial spot. I didn't actually know when I went and recorded the exact commercial spot that it was going to be. So it was really cool to see. I think my grandma texted me and she's like, "Oh, your voice is on television," and that was, like, the first I had heard, and then other people were messaging and being like, "I bought the pizza." I was like, "Good."
Well, like, you're like, "Oh," like, so you had no idea until the commercial was out that.
Yeah, no.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Good follow-up question, have you tried the pizza and is it good?
Okay, I am gluten-free, so it's so sad that I
Okay,
have not tried it, but it does look so good.
I'll need to. I feel like I was sold, and I'll never think of that song the same way again, just like it's
Oh,
pizza.
perfect.
It was cool.
That's so funny. It really worked well too, like, with the whole, like, chef vibe. Like, I was like, "Wow, it
Yeah,
really looks really good." And my
yeah,
friend
it
said
was
it's delicious, so that's good.
Even better.
yeah. Have you noticed an uptick at all, like, or, in terms of, like, streams, listens? Has that experience, I guess, generate any, like, I guess, publicity or get more eyes on your music?
Yeah, it definitely did. I found, like, a lot more people, like, in the industry had heard the song. I think, honestly, I was really not aware of it much. I was like, "Oh, that's so cool," and then I think as I started hearing more people reach out, it just I felt humbled that they really liked the version, and it was great to work with the team on it, and yeah, it was a really fun experience.
Insane. So another thing that we usually talk about on the show is sort of musical influences. And for you, I guess, what were some of the artists that you grew up listening to that you would say, influence you today?
Yeah, in the very early days, I would say we had, like, Michael Bublé, Whitney Houston, and, like, the soundtrack of Les Mis on repeat.
I love Lament. Music little kid here, yeah.
I think it really did influence, like, I love musical theater, so I feel like that also plays a part in, like, when I'm writing music, I love, like, the big theatrics of different sounds, and now I love Lizzie McAlpine as well because of it, because she also likes to add different theatrical, elements to her production. But I would say those 3 were, like, really big. My first CD was Michael Bublé's CD, and then I probably got more into writing after like falling in love with Taylor Swift's music.
You know, I was gonna say, because I was listening to your EP, I was like, there's definitely, but in a great way, like T Swift influence, because
I love her.
The songwriting, like you're a really great songwriter, and I definitely felt like
you.
in that, like in the best way.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
She's so iconic. Oh my gosh.
Agreed. I'm a Swiftie convert, new to
Yay!
Yes.
What album got you hooked or
Folklore.
on? Yeah.
I'm a Folklore girly, and then Midnight's was great, and then Tortured Poets Department.
You're like, I'm in. I'm sold.
I am too. I'll have to admit, like early T Swift, I'm still, there's still some hits I like, but I'm usually from like Folklore onward.
Yeah.
She's my girl now.
I love that. Honestly, I got to go to the Taylor Swift concert last year, but I feel so excited and also like a bit jealous for everyone going now because she's added the Tortured Poets Department. So it's like a whole new show.
I know. It's so, where did you, like, so did you have to fly and sell a kidney across the world to go see that tour, or did you see her?
So the funny thing, it was in Nashville, and I went to bed and my friend bought the tickets like in the middle of the night because she lived in BC. And so I didn't really we also didn't know that they were legit tickets until the actual day of. So there was definitely a lot of risk involved, but they worked and we got in. So yeah, those are crazy though. Like Toronto that's wild. Like kudos to anyone who got into that. Crazy.
Yeah, people are flying across. Like Kate and I talk about like concert prices all the time, and like how people are flying to Europe to see her because it's cheaper than going to like on the same continent. It's really
in general, it was so hard. Like it never used to be that hard to get a ticket. Like you could literally just like buy a nosebleed ticket the week of, and now it's like this crazy, so many bots and everything.
Oh yeah, it is crazy.
Amazing. So, I guess for those tuning in that want to check out more from you and, want to stream your tunes and support you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at abbyj.hall, and then everywhere else is just Abby J Hall. Somebody has an Instagram user, Abby J Hall, and it's like one of those like blank circles.
Oh.
But one day.
Like you message her like, hey, can you switch? And that's loud.
I actually have. So I don't even know if it's a real person though right now.
Strange Crew, we hope that you enjoyed this interview and catch up with Abby. And we hope that you go flood her feeds and go share all of her songs. Go share everything, please. Put them on all of your playlists. Add them to everything. Let people know that it's out there, that we're ready to listen to it. And send us a note anytime, Strange Crew. We want to hear from you. And if you want to hear more from Abby, maybe we can do a part 2. We'll do a comeback. We'll see, how did the EP party go? How much did we rate? What else are we doing? And we really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you guys so much for having me. It was so fun.
And until then, keep strange.
If you've enjoyed this, then you have to hit strangegrooves.com for more amazing content. To support this podcast and music community, go to patreon.com/strangegrooves. As always, keep it strange.